When you're thinking about cycling the Camino, you're going to be in the footstep in a 1,000 years old route. So whether you're doing the French way, the Portuguese way, any of the routes, the whole point is to get there, right? You will have a great time on either of these. You're really taking part into a deep history. Buen Camino, guys. Once you get onto the Camino, you will hear that all the time. Just people wishing each other a good journey. Welcome everyone. I've started for the Camino in 2006 actually. It's getting there. I'm closer to 20 years and we've specialized on the way of St. James, the Camino de Santiago, which I hope you guys have heard about it. And if you haven't, the Camino de Santiago is a must. I'll go through a bit of history just to give you a bit of background. My adventure started more on a rugby pitch, but as I grew older, I went to the mountains, the hills. That's more my environment, the walking. And the cycling, so I would have cycled, for example, French way, I've cycled the Portuguese coastal way, which we'll talk about, cycle as well the Via Francigena in Italy, so I've got a good understanding of the cycling. What we'll talk about is what is the Camino, a bit of history. I like to do that to bring you on a historical journey rather than just a package off the shelf. We'll mention some of the most popular cycling routes and give you some recommendations, what to expect as well on cycling the Camino, some logistic and what to pack. Then we'll start with a small video to give you a bit of flavor of the landscape you will encounter.
Every road has a traveler. Every journey has a beginning, a middle, an end. And every adventure offers revelation. Join the discovery. One path, one road, one Camino. Infinite experiences. Buen Camino.
Buen Camino, guys. Once you get onto the Camino, you will hear that all the time. Just people wishing each other a good journey. And this video that you just saw, there was some symbol. You saw somebody dropping a stone onto a big lump of stones with a pole in the middle. That, for example, is one of the iconic places along the Camino called Cruz de Ferro, or the Iron Cross, where people drop a stone. And the symbol of this, for example, is to leave a worry behind. So you carry it with you during the journey. And as you reach Cruz de Ferro, which is the highest point before reaching Santiago, you drop it there and you leave it behind. So there are a few things like this along the Camino. I will talk a bit about history. The Camino de Santiago, Camino means the way. And Santiago in Spanish, Saint, Tiago, James, is the way of St. James, literally translated to English. St. James was one of the 12 apostles, and he was asked by Jesus to preach religion, and St. James went as far as northwest of Spain and Galicia. He wasn't very successful actually, but when he came back to Israel, he was beheaded. That's the picture on the top left by King Herodes. And you can see the picture in the middle here, put the remains of St. James. His followers put him there, and the stone boat sailed out in the Mediterranean Sea. And here it's picture reaching back to the northwest of Spain and Galicia. So it's a return to strong point of heart. The pilgrimage of Santiago, or way of St. James, is not a linear thing. Some people say, oh, I want to do the real Camino, and there is no definition to the real Camino. The way of St. James, people in medieval time would leave their home and obviously travel all the way down to Santiago. So depending on where you were living, the journey was slightly different, although you'll see that it bottlenecks in a few places. But the most famous of the Camino is the French way you may have heard of. And here you can see a picture on the bottom right of the Codex Calixtinus, which was the first guidebook ever written that described the route that the priest followed to go to Santiago. The priest is pictured at the top, the gentleman on the horse. And so it's called the French way, although 90% of it is in Spain, simply because it was written by a French monk. But St. James, and if you're doing this trip, you're also taking part in history, St. James is also called El Matamor. Mata in Spanish means death. So the killer of Moros. The Moors were the Muslims. It is pictures like St. James is pictured as well as the reconquirer of the peninsula of Spain. You have to understand that when his remains were found in 820 AD, the Moors, the Muslims, had control over the south of Europe and even France up to the middle of France, really. So the remains of St. James were found around 820, and you can see that the green area is being pushed back south. Why? Because the church basically gave a plenary indulgence to all those believers and Christians who would pay the pilgrimage to Santiago, which is that little top left corner dot. So Christians would go there, obviously, the lords, and they would fight the Moors until they left the peninsula. La Reconquista, a big part of Spanish history. So when you're thinking about cycling the Camino, walking or cycling, you're going to be in the footstep in a 1,000 years old route or network of routes. So you're really taking part into a deep history. I would say the world. Why I would say that? It's because at the time, the Americas were discovered in 1492. So, that was the farthest westerly point on Earth to the people of Europe, It's very important. Anyway, just to give you some figures, the Camino de Santiago is more popular than ever. Most people walk the Camino, right? So that's just a fact, and the cycling is much smaller. However, it is very easily cyclable. There are 9 routes represented on this map. There are the 9 routes we operate. However, there are other minor routes from Madrid to Santiago, etc. But we don't operate these. Each route, let's say the French way, for example, the yellow route, represent 800 kilometers of journey already. So it's not a one way. Each section are the little numbers that you can see. There are walking sections, actually. So to do cycling, you will have to take 2 of these sections, represent more or less a 5 or 7 days trip. The way we operate this trip, we start in a big enough city to have connection to an international airport, and same for the end. Therefore, our trips are not necessarily 8 days, 7 nights. Because if after 8 days, you are in the middle of nowhere, we prefer you to walk 1 extra day or 1 fewer day and being in a big city, which brings you to an international airport. The Camino is a linear journey. Okay, it's not the Tour de France. It's not circular where you are center base and you go for a cycle here or there. Or neither it is a cycle where you have different options each day, in the sense that an easy and a harder. Here you're going in a linear fashion, and there is the most direct way, and there is the less direct way. And that's up to you, okay? But one thing, I hope you guys are cyclists or ride the bike regularly, and these are just a few tips we like to tell to our clients. Cycling the Camino is if you've ever cycled 5 or more hours. I don't know if you guys have brought some of your friends on a long cycle. You can see they can get grumpy if their bums start to get sore after a few hours, etc. Cycling for 5, 6, 7 days or more in a row is not for everyone. It's also important that you have a clue about a bike and at least be able to repair a puncture, never mind other things, okay? Because we have some service that help you with that. Also, cycling is good for people who may have joint issues. The cycling can be done, and we'll see at the end some technical thing with an e-bike, for example, that makes it a lot easier for people. And if you're happy with mountain bike, the Camino is not a road racer bike trip. And the same thing, cycling is not if you're just trying to cover more ground. If you've never cycled, never gone on a weekend cycle or anything like that, say, look, I want to see more, so I'll cycle. Don't do it. Go out this weekend and cycle for 3-4 hours and see how you get on. If you don't like it, you're not going to enjoy a full week of cycling. All right. So it is a bit less sociable because obviously it's harder to be bunched up. And if you have some people who don't have a clue about cycling, I like to do this warning, guys, because some people have the wrong impression about cycling. It's important to have the right approach to cycling the Camino. Now, once you're cycling the Camino, it is brilliant. I'll show you some pictures. It is quite scenic. Obviously, it depends on the road, but as you are going in a linear fashion, it is relatively flat, but over 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers, you will always have a couple of hills, mountain range to cross. So it's just something to be aware of. We say cycle at your own pace. When we organize a cycle on the Camino, we go for 50 kilometers to 65 kilometers per day. So again, you're on a mountain bike, you're also on the holiday. So hopefully you want to stop in small villages and have a coffee, have a beer, a glass of wine, whatever, have lunch, as opposed to you're weekly or bi-weekly ride where you go for 5 hours non-stop. You've got your stack in your jacket behind. So I wouldn't advise to do that, although you can do it, but it's more relaxed environment. Cultural immersion, obviously, let's say that you're doing 2 weeks and you're doing the full French way, for example, you will cross the Basque Country and Pamplona, famous for the bull races, the Rioja, famous for their wine, their red wine in particular. Then you're going to be in Castilla, famous for their meat, and then Galicia, famous for their seafood and their green landscape. You can see on the top right, it's the cathedral built by Gaudi, etc. So you really have a lot to see. The cycling routes, the one we organize most and the easier and the best one would be the Portuguese Coastal Way, which is the purple 2 sections here on this map. So that's represent around 210 kilometers, and that can be done in a week. And the French Way, so we have it, same thing, 230 kilometers and can be done in a week. So Portuguese Coastal Way and the French Way, the last section, in 1 week. If you have more than a week, then we can get you started at the start of the French Way or anywhere. And when you think about doing your trip, the real question is, how long do I have to commit for my trip, and how many rest days do I want? And from that point, we're going to get you to start farther away from Santiago. Just to give you an idea about cycling the Camino versus walking it, a lot of people ask, oh, well, am I on the road or not? So these are the maps of the guidebook we provide with as part of the package, showing you the walking trail is in red and the road is in blue. In my mind, it all depends on the level and the mindset of people. I'll explain myself. Where I cycled it with my friend, we started, and my friend Mathieu, and we started, and, you cycle on the trail because you want a bit of the adventure. That is what we enjoyed. So that was fine. We stuck to the walking trail. But then, after 4 or 5 hours, you're a bit tired. You want to get to your hotel in the evening, and you can see a sign, the town you're getting to for that evening saying 8 kilometers. And, you see the walking trail veering right, and you see the road straight ahead. Like these kind of last 10 kilometers, sometimes we'll just stick to the tarmac and straight to our town, our hotel, have a shower, and then start having a beer, etc. So I want you to understand that there's no right or wrong. There is nothing forbidden. You do what you want, all right? It depends on how handy you are with the bike, how you feel that day. If it is a quite rainy day, maybe sticking to the road is not so bad, because if you're, it's one thing to be on a trail. Uphill is difficult physically. Downhill is difficult for safety. The slip is quickly happens. So anyway, just wanted to show you that to see the difference. One thing to be aware of as well is that the trail is never too far from the road. You're never more than a kilometer from the road, no, kilometers. So it's safe enough. There is easy access to get you, etc. So it's really good. One of the reasons people do the Camino de Santiago, maybe for religious reason or not, but anyway, at the end, once you've walked 200 kilometers or cycled 200 kilometers into Santiago, then you'll prove that by stamping your pilgrim passport, which we will provide. Each of these stamps are memories. The Monastery de Samos, I remember before Saria, etc. It's pretty cool. You will get your pilgrim certificate in Santiago. This is the French route, which is 750 kilometers from Roncesvalles to Santiago. If you have 2 weeks or a bit over 2 weeks, it's an amazing adventure. You're starting in the Pyrenees, so a bit of mountainy landscape. Then you're going into Plateau de la Meseta. Then you enter into a flat area. When things are flatter, we increase the number of kilometers if we can. And then we finish off in Santiago. So there's no difficulty on this trail, except the mountain area in Roncesvalles and its surrounding, and Orcebrero. So here you see 28 kilometers because you've got 1,000-meter ascent, for example. It's not easy. You may have to push your bike, etc. This is Puente Arena, the Bridge of the Queen in Puente Arena. This is to show you a bit of the trail. So this is the walking trail, which is used by cyclists. Depending on your level of fitness, again, the time of the day, you might get off your bike and push it. Please note that we will carry your luggage. So these guys are carrying their own packets in the panniers, but we provide the luggage transfer. So you might have a backpack, your camel bag, and a snack and rain jacket, but you will be lighter than these guys. This also to give you an idea of the landscape. The Camino is going as straight as possible, and you can see the trail here, the white line. So it's following the farmland and the trails. And as well, it shows you that, it might be flat, except when you arrive to the town where you might have to go up, 100 meters or so. So you always have these things as well. If you're thinking about having something flat, do not do it It's not the Netherlands. You will have to go uphill sometimes. Just beware. You can see here the trail through the town and then veering left and over that hill. And the same way you're going up, you're also going down. There's markings. So you can see these guys are cycling nice and easy. And you can see the blue post there before the next corner. And to the left, if you look at the middle left of the picture, there's a signage as well. So it's very easy to follow. And that countryside. So when you're cycling, let's say that we're cycling 56 kilometers, I would count 4 hours to do that on the bike. Obviously, it's not a race. It's dirt tracks, so you don't go as fast as on the road. Also, you're taking your time. Maybe you want to stop to the toilet and there's a little cafe to the left there, so you might stop there. Some nice tracks, some nice coverage as well. Vineyards. It's cool. So this is to show you as well that depending if there is one of you, two of you, you might have a chat. If there's 5 or 6 of you, it won't be like your Saturday cycle with a group. It's unlikely like, you'll be bigger. You have to be careful when there are walkers as well around. So you can see that you're sharing the Camino with walkers. So you have to be careful as well. Obviously, you're all going in the same direction. So they won't see you coming. They might hear you. Be careful. They might have their AirPods and they might not hear you. So you just have to be careful. But other than that, it's nice and chilled. And these are some of the places you stop along the way. La Fontana de Irache. So this is after Pamplona. It's a free wine. There is wine and water. Okay, it's a bodega. It's a winery, which is behind that road actually. And they're offering free wine at the top there. It's pretty cool. This to show you the marking as well. There is regular markings on lampposts, on curbs, on bridges. It's hard to get lost. However, if you're cycling, you may drift away from the easy part. So these are just the type of things you need to be careful. You do not have a double marking. Cyclists go right, walker go left. It's not like this. The Camino, I'm not saying that it's made for walkers, but it is what it is. And cyclists come along, or horse riders come along, and it's their responsibility to adapt the journey. Obviously, we give you a guidebook with the cycling track, and we give you a mobile app as well with the GPX track. With all of that and with your own experience, you have to make the most out of it to your level of comfort for that day. And sometimes you're on the road like this. So this is the Leon Mountains over there. You can see it's flat for that day, but in 20, 30 kilometers, we'll have to go over that. And that's Ocedrero. Plaza do Bradorio, the main square in Santiago, where you will get there. So whether you're doing the French way, the Portuguese way, any of the routes, the whole point is to get there, right? Some other signage. Sometimes you've got milestones like this as well. It really depends on where you are, the regions. These are sometimes financed by local authorities, the yellow arrows. The Camino Portuguese coastal route is also brilliant. What is nice about it is that in a week you can see Porto, which is a lovely city in Portugal, and Santiago. It's along the coast. It's really, really nice. It's not as busy for pilgrims as the French way. So that's one that I love, okay? That's me. And here are the kilometers. The kilometers cannot be strictly 60 kilometers because what you have to be aware is that maybe there is no accommodation at kilometer 60. So either we can do 45 or 65 or 70. It depends, obviously, for each stage. Usually, we break the stage into something which is easily doable, and that makes sense depending on the terrain. So, for example, as you get to bigger cities, the normal Camino walking path and cycling path merge. You can see that here. The walking path in the middle veers slightly right and back in. You could as well follow the road if you're walking. It doesn't matter, but this is the type of thing you will experience. And sometimes you're cycling on this trail. There is a road next to that trail. Again, do you want to cycle on the dirt track, on the road? Up to you. It's the Portuguese way. We are in Arcade, and this is Porto, Santiago again. The Portuguese coastal way, as I was saying, is along the coast for 2/3 of the route. So this is the type of place you will stop by. This is Bayona, lovely spot. Your hotel is right behind it. I love it. If you're going there in the right time, the right season, and you've got nice weather, it's brilliant. You go for a swim, go back to your hotel, and next day off you go to the next step. Sometimes on the Portuguese coastal way, you've got a cycling track 50% of the time. So it's quite handy as well. And obviously it's along the coast. The cycling path is beside main road, but it's safer to start the cycling path. These are just a brief presentation of the two routes that we have. Obviously, the French way is inland. You will not see the sea. The Portuguese coastal way, you'll be along the sea for 2/3 of the time. Usually what I would ask you before you start is there anything that attracts you to any of the two trips or any other trips, by the way? Because the Portuguese coastal way is easier than the French way, right? It's also shorter, but they're similar. The commitment You still have to cycle, you're still out, you may have a puncture, etc. So there's still this type of things. But it's good when you think about how to choose something. If you might want to tick the box, I've been to Portugal, maybe the Portuguese coastal way is better for you. Okay, if it's not as important, you want to do the French way, which is the most traditional and the most famous Camino, then the French way is much better for you. Try to use things like this to have a hook that attracts you more. You will have great time on either of these. There are stops to have coffees and breaks and toilets along both of these routes. It depends. If you can have something that attracts you more, it's better. Make friends for life along the Camino, depending if you're cycling with friends already on the way, or you will meet people. And on the Camino, after a couple of days, you will recognize these guys with this type of bikes, and you might stop around the same places. You might have lunch together or whatever. Like these things happen. Now, there is less so of this friendship in cycling just because the logistic of a cycling group is different. Walkers, you see each other, you overtake each other several times a day because a coffee break is 15 minutes. So somebody that overtook you 10 minutes, half an hour ago, you might overtake them in an hour. While cycling, the fitness gaps are more prominent. Therefore, if you're fast, you might be faster the whole way and you might stop less for breaks. So there's less of that, but you'll still meet people and it will be great. Eat local food as well. So Galicia is great for seafood, Portugal as well. Depends where you are. Whatever, guys, it's rich. We're talking about 2 countries here. There are countries that are strong in cured meats and cheeses and stuff like this. Here on the top left, you have a colacao, which is the hot chocolate is in a sachet beside, with a little snack, the massive paella or pulpo. For those who are more veggie, there is more and more veggie option along the Camino. You've got the classic tortilla de patata. Top right, you've got the pimientos de padrón, which are little chilies which are not spicy. Bottom left is la tarta de Santiago, which is an almond baked cake. And then you have risotto. And ourselves, as part of our walking guided tours, we have one evening vegetarian food. We're trying to raise awareness of eating vegetarian. We have also recorded 5 recipes for chefs along the Camino. If you're in Spain, guys, it's not uncommon to order a salad. You think it's lettuce and tomatoes and onions or something like this, and the corn. And it comes with a tuna at the top. Tuna for them may not be meat. So we are trying to raise awareness by giving them an idea of recipes. So very important. In terms of accommodations, we organize 2- and 3-star accommodations with private bathroom all the way. On the cycling tour, the accommodation is different from the walking because we try to have a garage or something like this for the bikes. These are some of your hotels. The one top right here is the Baía Bayona, the one that I was talking to you on the Portuguese coastal way. Gear, as default, this is the type of bike I would provide you with. So mountain bike, that's typically what it is. Aluminum frame, it's good quality bike. It's still very decent. I'll show you how they are delivered. So we also have e-bikes, very high quality BH bikes that are made in Spain actually. So it is important for us. We are also a B Corp, so we're trying to do sustainable tourism, local, etc. It's very important to us. And we now have as well gravel bikes as well. Some people like these, which are a bit more versatile, and that's cool. All of these bikes will ask you for your size, small, medium, large, and they are in a size bracket, 155 centimeters to 165, 165 to 180, etc. The bikes we bring to you, they are delivered in cardboard box. Okay, the bikes come from Santiago, and they arrive at your destination the day before you're there usually. It takes about 10 to 15 minutes to get started. Because they're in flat pack, you see the second picture, you need to put the handlebar perpendicular, and we give you the tools. There is a small toolkit with a really 3 or 4 spanners, only what you need, and a repair kit as well. You have a repair kit in all of the tubes, have the gel, so they're self-repair tubes. Why? It's not magical, and you might still puncture at some stage, but it reduces greatly the chance that this happens. So you straighten your handlebar, adjust the saddle, and put the pedals as well. Transporting bikes with the pedals on is a nightmare. For e-bikes, it's also important to be gentle with the equipment so that you don't break electric pins. But there are cool pieces of equipment. You have the delivery with a panier, a lock, a repair kit, and a toolkit as well. Just a small toolkit for basic stuff. Some options we get asked as well. These are upgraded panniers if you want waterproof, but the ones we provide are non-waterproof and they're fine. Would be upgrade pedals unless you want to bring your own. If you want to bring your own, let the agent at 57 hours know so that we don't bring you pedals. Otherwise, we will give you pedals by default. It would be harsh if we want, but you have to leave them with the bike. Don't leave them in your first hotel. And the gel saddle, same thing. If you want to bring your own saddle, so then you have to fix it, but you will have to do that yourself. For those who are less confident, we can bring the bike as well to bike assembly shop, and for an extra fee, we can assemble the bike for you. That's only in bigger cities. Okay. So on most of the packages we have, it's no problem. For the Camino, what we do is that we organize the accommodation, the bike, packet, the customer service, the walking note and roads, mobile app, and GPX track to make it easy. What we want is you guys to have a great time. I want you to be out there cycling. You know where you're going. On the app, there is the location of your next accommodation. There's a track, your little blue triangle. If the triangle is on the track, if you're off the track, maybe you went to the shop or something like this, go back to the track. And same when you get to the accommodation, just say, bring me there. It will bring you there. So it's very handy. We also give you some training program, which basically tells you to go out. Again, I would hope that you guys cycle regularly. And if you're not, get started. Go cycling a couple of times a week and try to do the 3-4 hours cycle at the weekend and then 2 days in a row. Okay, you will see you need to break in the bike bond, right? And here, I haven't put the Lycra stuff. If you're Lycra style, bring your Lycra, etc. But it's all the question of layers, obviously. Depending on the time of the year you're traveling, you may need more or less. It really depends. If it rains, etc. Just know that you'll be out for 4-5 hours. If it's lovely, brilliant. If it's a bit wet and stuff, you need the layers to keep it nice and safe. So we'll book your accommodation, 2-3-star, luggage transfer from place to place, holiday pack with your pilgrim passport, your luggage tag, and the support. If there's something there, we also have a special bike insurance. Punctures, you have to deal with them yourself. However, if the chain breaks somewhere, if there's a mechanical problem, you ring our partner company. Obviously, depending on what the issue is, we'll get a taxi, bring it to the closest repair shop and fix it. And that's at no cost, okay? We work with over 1,000 accommodations. So what I've spoken to you is general. We can do lower budget. We can do higher budget. We can do longer trips, shorter trips. It really depends what you have in mind. But start from somewhere. Say, I want to go for a week. I want to go for 2 weeks. I want something challenging. Do not say, oh, what are all the differences? There are too many. We would provide great value, great accommodation so that you can just go there and concentrate on enjoying it yourself. One thing as well I didn't mention, I've cycled with my wife, and we had one person. I had the mountain bike, the normal one, the regular one, and she had the electric bike. So sometimes, if some of your friends are not strong cyclists, you can mix and it level things up, and you can enjoy your time as well. But you know, we're like-minded, try to bring people on these routes and less visit places. So do the Camino by cycling, walking, whatever you want, and looking forward to seeing you on the trail.